Welcome, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my look at World Ablaze mod for the DLC of No Step Back of Hearts of Iron 4. I don't know if this is the very first version that's compatible, but this is the main current version that is. And we're going to take a look and to see how well it's working, how the changes are. I've been away from World Ablaze for a long time, so I know Uncharted, I'm sure, has made a bunch of changes since I've last played it. I have started up the mod before this, but not played it yet. There's a distinction. I already have concerns. We'll be addressing. Did announce this over on the World of Blade Discord. Maybe I can remember to somebody, and if I don't initially, you can poke me and I'll add a link to their Discord server so you can get on there and talk with the developers directly. It's always good to do so. Maybe I'll also put a link to my Discord server if you want to hang out with me and my friends and whatnot going on there too. Well, I was asked to play as Japan. It's, by Irish, I believe it was. And that's a very good idea, but I really need to take a first look at whether it becomes a long series or not. I'm not sure if this is the start of one or not. I know people like to see a series, but this right now is just at the preliminary stages of looking at the mod to see if I feel comfortable with a long series in it or not, as well as, of course, viewership with this mod to see how that goes. More viewers, the more I can play a game for my own fun and enjoyment. It's, do you guys want to watch, becomes the thing. So we're going to take a look with Germany because it's the country I know best. It's the country that I can evaluate a mod as a whole the best. And I know I've been playing Germany a lot, both on my own as well as for a lot of different streams, but it is sort of the driving factor of World War II, and so it's important to look at that. So we are going to look at Germany starting out here. All right, and they go through this, and I have read quickly through this, but I think this is worthy because this is, to some degree, I don't know if a tutorial is the right term, but we are looking at the mod. And so I'm going to examine all of these here and read through them and give any particular thoughts I have. And again, like I say, I've started this a couple of times. I've not played like outside of January, so it's, I haven't really played this mod yet. So this is anything I say, take it as someone who does not have a deep understanding of the mod. Let me just quickly check something here before I go any further. Let me poke the main because looks like he's around right now. Maybe get the developer to show up. Sure. He's in a private chat I see on his. It was just mentioning Discord server, so maybe he'll be showing up in a bit. And it's always good. Just want to say Uncharted, he's the main developer. I think his team has increased in size. He is very familiar with World War II, knows a lot, and does very good work. That doesn't mean I agree with everything, just I know he, like I say, does good work. Not just like as a good person or something, that doesn't matter for mod maker, but he does do good work. So please understand anything I'm criticizing. It's more someone maybe around the edges, more a bit more, but he does things very well. World Ablaze is a total overhaul mod that changes almost all of the game mechanics, expands them, and adds tougher AI. Most of the changes are easy to figure out, like the focus tree, but if you're unfamiliar with the mod, you can find options below help clarify some of the more hidden changes in the game. If you're interested in getting involved, there's a link. Okay, yeah, Discord server. Okay, changes to the economy. Economy fatigue. Maybe economic fatigue would be better English. I don't know. It isn't. I don't know if it could just be changing the economy. I don't know. That's nitpicky. Is a new system to World Ablaze. It represents inflation, large government spending, and shrinking civilian economy. Economic manpower, trade laws now gradually provide economic. Yeah, it should be economic fatigue. Which reduces construction speed and eventually stabilizes, or eventual stability and factory output. They also now give weekly penalties to war support. To combat this, there are more decisions and ministers you can invest in. The best strategy is to make your wars quick and demobilize after a war. Best strategy. Okay. Now, and I read this before, and my reaction to this statement is not that in a general principle is a bad thing, but my understanding is this game may lead up to smaller wars, things like the Spanish Civil War or the Italian invasion of Abyssinia or something. And I do know that there had been a long time strategy of trying to, say, drag out for Italy the invasion of Abyssinia to get more experience, to keep the wartime laws going instead of peacetime laws, where this would negate that. Get the war over faster would be better. Yeah, I would agree to that. But generally speaking, I understand everything's leading up to a crescendo of world war is going to break out. And it's going to be over when it's over. So I don't entirely get how, you're not necessarily going to invade Austria and have that war, and then invade Czechoslovakia and have that war, and then invade Poland and have that war. Maybe you could, I guess. I don't know, but that just seems unhistorical, but we'll continue. It is natural to have economic fatigue. See, there we go. Now we have economic fatigue. Should we change it there? I know that's nitpicky. I know. When militarizing your economy, and it should not be something that you should try and keep at 0%. Following are the main ways of decreasing your economic fatigue. Focuses. War bonds available when at war. Okay. What about government bonds? Those I know were very much used and are still used to this day to reduce economic fatigue. Now, war bonds are an additional thing, but government bonds, just generally speaking. But okay, there was a lot of government bonds being issued by Germany, and it can be seen to some degree in the MIFO bills that are still in this mod that are from the base game. So I don't know. Don't know about that. Decisions are available only when at war. Okay, so we have decisions you can make that would potentially reduce war fatigue. Fine. Lowering your laws only as a last resort if close to 100% fatigue. So I'm guessing here. And whether correction during the now, or you can the live stream, or you can check posts below for corrections to anything that I get wrong. Somebody, Uncharted or whoever, can post. Hey, Toyjet, how you doing, my friend? You can post corrections below. So if I'm getting any of the presumptions wrong, then look for corrections below. That's what I want to say. Okay, so instead of like total mobilization or whatever, go back to one of the lesser laws that would reduce fatigue, but only as a last resort. So I guess you don't want to get to 100% fatigue. Staying on partial mobilization will cause fatigue to go from 0 to 100% in 24 years. Okay, that's good information. War economy is 12 years. Total mobilization is 6 years. I'm presuming these are years. Be aware that focuses can also increase fatigue. Okay. Uncharted and I have a disagreement in. Oh, I'm doing very good, Toy Jet. Doing very good indeed. Thank you. Have a disagreement on, and it's a, and I know just because from some of my back end stuff, I know a lot of you guys that watch this channel also watch videos by TIK. Very good YouTube historian, very good. Who's very much an Austrian economics person, and very much markets. To the point that with him, I'm not saying he's wrong. What I'm saying is that for him particularly, it becomes very ideological. Markets are a very, very, very good way of just rationalizing the distribution of resources and whatnot. Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes programs, well, I don't know, like the space race program or the V1 missile program that Germany uses, sometimes markets are not the way to go. You're not necessarily wanting to who can build the cheapest rocket that shoots send you to the moon. That doesn't mean the government's building you a good rocket that goes to the moon. It just means you don't necessarily want to go to a market to meet those check something here as I'm sort of talking on, to meet the needs of your government, cheapest, or whatever. So market solutions aren't always for, rockets to the moon might not always be the best. So, and this goes back to some of it. I kind of be careful with my words here. I think in the time scale of World War II, now total mobilization, 6 years. Okay, that well covers you if you're starting your war in 36 and the war is over by, 45, kind of thing, victory or loss or whatever, and total mobilization. Now, Germany was not at total mobilization for all that time. You have to very much take that into account. And I don't know, and this is another thing right now, is, again, I'm talking about this without playing the mod yet, so take this all with a very big, I don't entirely know what I'm talking about kind of thing, and I'll readily admit I don't know everything about World War II. I don't know everything about it, and there's a whole lot I don't know about World War II economics of various countries, huge amounts. I mean, more that I don't know than I know about, because I'm just, I'm not Tooze, Tooze, Adam Tooze, one of the main authors on economics in World War II. You can follow his Twitter account if you want. Who is a bit of a socialist, so you got to take that with a grain of salt. Two, what he says about economy, because if socialists understood economies, they wouldn't be socialists. Yes, I'm not an Austrian economics hardcore person, but I do understand that socialism doesn't understand economies. Socialism is based upon a map. So outside of like the Netherlands and a few places that grow land, they see economies as a zero-sum game, and it's just how big of the piece of the pie. Or a capitalist, and I don't mean like a rich person, I mean like a person who believes in market economies, believes that economies can grow. Just because someone has a big chunk of it Doesn't mean it's denying somebody else the chunk of that economy, because economies are not a static or limited thing. Marx got that wrong, and yeah, so Marx was wrong, Malthus was wrong. We're seeing a lot of Malthusists nowadays. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And they got wrong. So I don't know how big, other than like 100% or something that may cause you to collapse everything. Don't know how big of an impact all of this makes, but that has to be kept in mind. And I know this is a long introduction, but this is I think an important look at this this mod. Okay, changes to industry, and also I want this to be somebody who likes listening to me talk, of course, about it. World War II and things, but also is this a mod that you want to play? I want this, after looking at some of this, you will know whether you want to play this mod or not. Military and civilian factories have had their input halved, but in return you get double the amount of said factories for most nations, naval, dockyards, military. Okay, this here in a way is meaningless in that, well, if it takes twice as many factories, why do you need twice as many factories? Well, it can be useful if you want to split up smaller levels of production for something. More fine-tune it. And if it's just for fine-tuning, that's good. To accompany this, max civilian construction count is 20 for each new building. Okay. New resources have been added, which include bauxite, coal, iron. Not sure how coal is being used in this game. That's interesting. Because coal, or energy, in Hearts of Iron 3 was meant to be, though for major powers generally not, but was meant to be the limiting factor on, or one of the main limiting factors on how many factories you could have. It was sort of what it was sort of meant to be, but it really turns out to not. Where in Hearts of Iron 4, it's this, which I hate, stupid mechanics of how many slots a region has, which I hate that mechanic, but okay. So I don't know quite how that's being used. 3 new buildings, company, these resources, okay. Aluminum smelter uses bauxite, coal to make aluminium. Hydro-powered aluminium smelters use bauxite to produce aluminium, but are more expensive than aluminum smelters. Okay, so meaning like water-powered. If you, I don't know, maybe Norway, that may have a lot of, don't know, or may not have coal or something. I know they had a lot of hydropower. But I don't know. Steel mill uses iron and coal to produce steel. Okay, so it's sort of wanting to be used, I guess, because I only skimmed this, the coal as a fuel for, and coal is very, I guess I just don't know enough about making aluminum. Is coal used other than just simply powering the factory, heat to power it? I know on the making of iron, it is sort of a mixture of coal, carbon, and iron to make steel. So yeah, infrastructure also no longer boosts the amount of steel and aluminum you get from a state, as they only come from these factories. Okay, so if you want steel and aluminum, you must have steel and aluminum factories. Okay, go back. Let's look at changes to the economy, changes to politics. Let's look at changes to politics here. Okay, minister selection has been added to the political tab. And I'm going to have something more to say about this in a bit. New additions include Ministry of Culture, which is focused around women's place in society. Interesting. Hello, HL Malazan. How you doing? And hello, NMDB. How are you gentlemen doing today? Presume gentlemen, but Tinky isn't here. She's about the only woman I know that routinely hangs out on my channel. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know how that's implemented. I have definitely looked into women and how they're used in society. for this, and it's interesting. But okay, it starts off with more home-oriented roles that give higher population gains, but you can make it a significant cost or through focuses to provide more bonuses to your industry. An army, for example, higher recruitable population and or factory input. Yes. Yep, dude here. Yeah, I know from my stats that it goes from an from a what would be the term, uncountable number to somewhere about 1% of my views come from women, meaning it's too little to count. Of course, I'm very happy to have women viewers, but I guess just my content, maybe my style, doesn't draw a lot of women to this channel. I know, but a few. My main editor, she was, but no longer my editor, for my mod Hearts of Iron 3 Third Reich Events, was a woman. I didn't realize that at first. But yeah, so, you know, she was a big player of Hearts of Iron 3. So yeah, as a player base, that was before I was doing YouTube channels. So yes, I do know there are women players of these games. Trust me, I do know that, but they are minuscule in a percentage situation. Okay, so yes, higher recruitable populations and factory output. Okay, the Ministry of Defense is focused on war bonds. You use these to reduce your economic fatigue. Okay. However, these can only be accessed during war situations and come at a cost of consumer goods for 2 years. Come at a cost of consumer goods for 2 years. Not sure what that means. We may find out. The Ministry of Propaganda is focused on providing more support since higher tier economic laws take weekly war support. This is used to counter that. Each level provides more support, takes political. Okay. Ministry of Labor is focused on providing miscellaneous buffs such as stability for some consumer goods or small recruitable population boosts for some PP, political power. Ministry of Business is essentially your economics ideology and is heavily tied to your political ideology. Fascists can't fully privatize, for example. Democracies can't follow ideas of National Socialism. Each economic ideology provides different buffs and debuffs that range from stability, increase, decrease, consumer goods, increase, decrease, construction speed, research time, ideological drift, defense, and so on. Okay. Interesting. We'll definitely have... those are two that sub for this one. Let's tech tree. Each major nation has a unique tank, air, and navy artillery tech tree. Yeah, Uncharted did say when he announcing this out to me that they have not implemented the tank designer yet into their game. I don't know whether it's just time to implement it or they're figuring out how to do it, but okay. All the historical stats for their equipment. So yeah, basically, you know, it's what they're taking is to being like the stats for a, you know, Panzer IV or Panther or T-34 or 76 type or T-34-85, I guess. All good, you know, minor nations who have the generic air and artillery trees have worse stats, major and minor. Okay. Certain tanks have multiple variations in the tech tree, such as the Panzer IV. Switching production between these variants results in very little losses. Efficiency, that's good, because you go through, well, the Panzer IV starts in production prior to the war and stays in production to the end of the war with changes, but not terribly big disruption to their production. Ships unlock their historical modules already actually being able to be refitted and researched. Okay. So let's go back there. So basically you're looking at historical ships and historical tanks, and I presume aircraft as well. So, okay, changes to combat. Combat width has been changed from 100 to 90, making the ideal division have a 30 combat width. Which is good to know. You need to know that. I don't necessarily pay enough attention to combat width and try to more just build divisions that look historically appropriate to me, figuring that that should be the, and then, you know, since certain divisions in certain countries did particularly well, that should be what you should have to have the similar success. But knowing, and we could pay attention to 30 whip. Weather and terrain are much harsher. Organization takes longer to regain and is dependent upon infrastructure and supply. Lasts 4 weeks instead of 3 days. New units have been added, and the description for unique ones can be found below. Armored cars are split between combat and scout. Combat cars would generally have equal armaments to light tanks, but are cheaper and less durable. Now, I don't know. Opening a Coke here. Yeah, I guess you can hear that. And I will be reading some of the chat here in just a minute. Hey, you, I guess, I don't know if that's how you pronounce that. In just a moment, we'll get back to that. But I don't know of a large-scale use. I'm not saying there wasn't one, and please always note my language. I try to be very careful with it. Like when I say I don't know, doesn't mean that there was not. Okay, I don't know of a large-scale use of armored cars as a sort of main combat type thing that you would use a tank as. Where as scouting type vehicles, yes. And I say large scale because, you know, we can, oh, well, you know, Spanish Civil War and such battle, the Republicans used 10, you know, civilian converted trucks that they did in the local factory as sort of like tanks. Yeah, okay, that ain't large scale continuous use. That's emergency use in some conditions of a, you know, extemporaneous war done on the cheap kind of thing. That's a bit different. So now it's not maybe an unreasonable what if, you know, like just think, what if Turkey had the ability to make trucks? They did not have that ability during World War II, just to be clear. But what if they had the ability to make trucks? And so they had the truck chassis and all that stuff, and they wanted to use those to build an ersatz tank and mount a, you know, like something like a Pack 38 on it, just because they can't make tanks. Yeah, okay. I could see that as being a substitute if need be, but that's about. Yeah, scout cars provide organization and can be used as recon. They also wield, which gives them different terrain modifiers. Okay, assault guns. They have much more armor and soft attack than self-propelled guns, but have less breakthrough in defense. I don't understand that. Why would assault guns versus self-propelled guns? What is the distinction? Yeah, with much more armor and soft attack. So if they're talking about the Martyr series, unarmored, versus Stugs, Brumbars, and Elephants, I don't know. I don't know. They also serve as front lines, making them a lot more vulnerable than self-propelled guns. Well, if you look at assault guns, kill-death ratios on the Eastern Front, they weren't very vulnerable. Okay, and they were very much so used in defense. So I don't entirely understand that. Don't worry, I'm going to get to the chat here. As a result of their extra armor, they cost more too. Okay, well, yes. If your distinction is martyrs, tank destroyers, which could also, you know, like the M10 in America and whatnot, versus thick armored vehicles. Okay, sort of get some of that, but I don't get the lack of defense. Less breakthrough. Well, I don't know if I get that either. I don't get that. I don't get this. I wish someone could explain it to me. Why that is, but heavy units currently, field guns and infantry have heavy variants. Field guns and infantry. Do they mean infantry guns? I don't know. Heavy infantry? I'm not sure. These are much better. And again, I haven't played into this at all, so I don't know. These are much better units than normal counterparts, but cost more and are slower and take more supply. Okay. Miscellaneous, there is a hard cap of 12 carriers per battle. Death stacks, or as I would call them, doom stacks, they're just semantics, have been heavily nerfed. So the ideal fleet size is now 50. The number of screen ships required per capital ship is now 4 instead of 3. There are amphibious mechanized units for better naval invasion performance. Light tanks can also be used for recon. Okay. Good. That's changes to the combat tech tree. Okay, I guess we're ready to play. Now let's look at that. It's like with all the strategy games I've encountered, StarCraft 2, more visible games, the big scheme of things, you hardly see women players in their event shrugs. Basically, you get minus 10% fatigue per war bonds. You only have to pay for the post-war. Okay, who are you? Are you what? I don't know. Hate you? I don't know. Okay, good to know. Basically, 10% fatigue per war bond. You only have to pay post-war. Yeah. Now, I don't know. This game may be a lot more optimized for, like, fight World War II and then fight, what is it, Operation Unthinkable or whatever, Western powers versus Soviets and, round 2 or round 3 or however you want to do that. And yeah, and if you are setting up a game that is meant to be continued to play beyond the standard World War II era, ending in 45, 40, 46 kind of thing. Yes, a lot of what Uncharted is talking about with war fatigue and bonds and all of that is very true, because it was JFK, John F. Kennedy, was the one that finally really got the U.S. away from tax brackets that were set up partially during the Great Depression and then later during World War II to absorb a lot of money and to pay for the war. So that's well into the 60s that America was paying for the war in economic elements because of bonds. Post some cat feed. Well, guess I could wander around my neighborhood with a cell phone and try to catch some cats doing something in my neighborhood. I don't have a cat myself. So yeah. Hello, Arno. Good to have you here. Okay, so that's a look at the changes here. We're going to come in here. I have definitely not looked through all of this because there's a lot here. That's what I mean. I definitely haven't looked through. So I'm jumping around a bit. Well, we can zoom out somewhat. Okay, just to show the size of this. Rational realization of the Wehrmacht. I don't know. We can do that. 21 days. I appreciate that a lot of these are at least faster, maybe, and different times. I hate the standard game that's that 4-year plan, 28 days, and then continue with Schacht. Point Goering. Rhineland, 35 days. Anschluss, going down through here. Okay, so we have a lot of that stuff. And then over sort of weird fantasy land, I guess they decided to keep that. That's something I would have, if I was making a total rebuild mod, I would just dump fantasy land. So I'm much more interested in making mods that are World War II based, not fantasy based. I do like Kaiserreich. It's a fantasy game, but it starts out that. So we're going to go for getting the Rhineland remilitarized. Like I said, have quickly looked through this so I know some of the starts here. Let's put the 222 reconnaissance vehicle and the Panzer IIA. Now, I do believe in 1936, I believe, I have to look up to be sure, the Panzer II was starting into production at the beginning of 1936. I remember talking to Podcat and saying that Germany should start with a bunch of Panzer Is in stock, but producing the Panzer II. Long time ago. So I think this should be just looking at here. What's this? Flak Panzer. Okay. Don't know why that's a Flak Panzer, but whatever. Okay. Guess they had to use some sort of image. And yeah, getting to some other versions of the Panzer II and whatnot, sure, but the basic version should be ready to go into production, but really it should be the Panzer II being the standard production, or Panzer I, excuse me, should be the standard production. Let's do radios. So how you been, Arno? Okay, let's look at our logistics here. We're starting air production. We have that. Infantry equipment, heavy infantry equipment, trucks, Marines. I don't think yet. So I'm looking at artillery. We don't have a stockpile of artillery or heavy artillery, so I don't want to put any in any units in training right now, just yet, to get up a bit of a stockpile. You can get Panzer IIA research instantly later in the Army focus tree. Okay, well, fair enough. But that isn't now. Because what I'm saying is, with this game, Hearts of Iron 4, you have a serious amount of time that getting production efficiency up. And that really only makes sense, and to the scale that I normally see it going, and it could be changed like we see here. See, look, it's 1936. We have 5 factories, or, you know, it could be just literally one building, but 5 industrial levels, or whatever, however you want to say this, that are producing Panzer Is, and it's only, what, about halfway to being efficient in production at this stage. Meaning they're still working out the kinks of production. That is sort of how I would see right now, is like going, oh, screw this, start building Panzer IIs. And you start building that up. So I get you that there's a later thing to do, which is cool, but it's not a now thing to do. How are we doing this? Oh, this is the 221, and we're doing the 222. Okay. Well, let's... No. Let me go to... Let's come here. And again, I want to state again, there is more that I don't know about World War II than I know about World War II. So, yes, a lot of what I'm saying, and I don't even think that I think what I'm saying is, you know, from that I know it all and I'm 100% correct. I don't think I am. I just think I have a fairly strong basis for thinking what I think. Not that our head is in need back, can't walk due to the pain, and now my back. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Arno. I took some blood to confirm that I now have some medicine for arthritis. Oh man, I'm sorry for that. Oh, there are definitely anti-inflammatories and whatnot. I'm sure that they're given to you. So hope you get better, Arno. I know you've had knee problems before. Oh boy, I do hope you get better. Okay, well, we're going to look at some civilian factory. Well, okay. Again, I'm new to this. Let's we could use rubber, tungsten. Okay, so chromium, tungsten, and rubber. Well, there may be a synthetic factory for that. Aluminum. Oh, okay, that's not. Well, okay, currently we have plenty of aluminum. Yeah, I'm sure it sucks. I'm sure it does. Okay, so this is mainly an import thing here now. So, we don't really want to keep that big of a hit to our imports. So let's, from the Dutch East Indies, let's pick up, yes, 2 factories. It's pretty close to being efficient, worth of. And this is where I talk about the idea of if you're doubling the number of factories, and then you're literally having the output, 1/2 of the output of a factory, and you're doubling the number of factories. What's the point of it? Well, what one of the point would be is instead of like just one factory getting 20 of this rubber, you can do 2 factories and decide, well, do you want 10 rubber or do you want 20 rubber? More finely adjusted on it. So there, if things like that are useful in like having the production and doubling the factories, if some things that can use like half of what would have been half of a factory kind of thing. 515 for 6. I think for the moment we're going to, well, so again here, do I want this? Now, I want to bitch and moan about something here. I saw this earlier. Okay, trade influence. It was almost removed from the game. Trade influence. It was in the original game. It was almost it's because the first combat ready tank was only available 18 months after it entered production. Well, at least according to the wiki. Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know the details of the Panzer II and it's how long it gets into the Army's hands. I don't know. I'd have to look into to more. Like I said, there's a lot I don't know. A lot I don't know about World War II. So don't. This I do label what I'm doing here as commentary because I'm working off of memory, at least in most cases. So, and thank you, Arno. Yes, if everyone on YouTube can hit that like button, it certainly does help, especially while live. It might recommend it to some more people. From what little I know specifically of some of the contracts, the way a lot of it was arranged with, particularly pre-war, but even during the war, was the idea of, hey, work out with, MAN, or I guess Alket maybe comes along later, or Vomag, or whoever's making the tank itself, Figure out what it's going to be like, the industrial designers, architects, whatever, go in and do all the blueprints and figure all the stuff out, and everybody sort of agrees. Maybe make a prototype or 2 or something. In wood, I know that was quite common too, just to see that everything really actually fit and whatnot. And then you get, okay, we're going to produce this thing. At least in a few cases, if I remember correctly, the production was set up for a particular model, and it might be very much a submodel, like a batch of these things, and they're going to build like 150 of them, and they build 150 of the tanks and get them, all of them completed and done and sitting there, and then deliver them to the Army. So was only available, in the first combat ready. It was, so it's not necessarily that the first tank takes 18 months to show up. It takes 18 months to do some of the stuff. So I don't know. I don't know indeed on that. So that seems awfully long, but I could be wrong. But here I am on lots more solid ground here. Like I say, trade influence is too low. Well, they almost removed trade influence from the game. Somebody, maybe the person who's talking to you right now, maybe, is the person who saved trade influence to keep it in the game, because I wanted to use it for my mod, Third Reich Events. Why? What makes them think that trade influence with America should be a negative 152? And so, base is 55, distance is 7, relations negative 200. What? Where France? What in there makes them think that this is, and why? Oh, I'm not used to using these symbols here. This is it. Okay. Why would we have Franklin Delano Roosevelt? Why dislikes Germany? Why would Franklin Delano Roosevelt and then they have autarky? Does America have autarky? I don't understand, if I'm reading this right, I don't understand why America would have autarky as a thing. Particularly Franklin Delano Roosevelt comes from a family very much dealing with international trade, particularly with Asia, I believe. But he has a very much international trade background and wants to foster international trade, as far as I know. But, okay, I don't know why Franklin dislikes Germany. Germany starts, okay, a lot of other nations, yeah. No, it's German autarky gives you trade. Okay, German autarky. Okay. But this needs to be corrected somehow. Because this, how do I put this? Whenever, if you're building a game, again, Kaiserreich is a cool game, but Kaiserreich is a weird, wacky fantasy world, and I can get into a weird, wacky fantasy world, and so is, I don't know, Warhammer 40k, a weird, wacky fantasy world, dark one, but that's what it is. And if I want to go play those games, that is a good thing. But if I want to play a game that is based well, why does he particularly? Now, his family, he and his family very much had a lot of trade with China, and very well maybe especially more disliking of Japan. I don't see a natural dislike of Germany. Now, maybe I'm not a FDR biography kind of person or something. I don't think I've ever read a specific biography on him. Maybe there's something there that I'm just never heard of. But hey, gotta remember, Arno, them Germans and them Dutch, but them Germans helped us. No, wait a minute. No, they helped the other side, does it? I don't know. Okay. So, yeah, but so whenever a game, not just a mod, but a game fails to accurately represent history, there's something wrong and it needs a correction. Okay. So, like, you can have a special boost. Dutch are perfect, no comment there. Yeah, right, Mr. Dutchman. Okay, to support my case, there should be a high trade opinion with America, because for steel or anything else, during this time, January 1936, Standard Oil, a company called Standard Oil, that not only is it called Standard Oil, it was Standard Oil, in that it was a monopoly of oil in America. So much so that in 1911, the government breaks up Standard Oil, but it still is one of the major employers, one of the major companies in America, was very much working with a company in Germany called, what was it? IG Farben. Maybe that's even a company here at one of these things here. Yeah, IG Farben, refining concern. So it's even a big enough one that makes it into the game. We're very, very much working together to create synthetic rubber, because both America and Germany had a synthetic rubber problem. America didn't have an oil problem. IG Farben is also working on liquefaction of coal. It's not really synthetic oil. It's just where synthetic rubber is taking something that isn't rubber to have similar properties of rubber, where liquefaction of coal is just taking coal and liquefying it and then turning it into gasoline or diesel or whatever, or just using it as oil, burning in ships and whatnot. But so they were deeply involved. IG Farben and Standard Oil were deeply involved. And also during this time period, and up and through to the end of World War II, Ford Motor Company, you may have heard of them. They're one of the big three automobile manufacturers in the United States. I don't know who was the biggest of the three, but they were one of the big three. Ford Motor Company has two factories in Germany. One in Berlin, the other one, Frankfurt, I think, maybe. I forget where, but it's somewhere around here. Frankfurt, pretty major automobile factories that would make trucks and use steel, in their production businesses. So that was going on, trade opinion. And General Motors, another one of the big three automobile manufacturers, and realize these automobile manufacturers and Standard Oil are massive employers, massive industries in the United States at this time. General Motors has a manufacturing company thing in Germany as well. A minor one, admittedly, maybe, but that for trade purposes and whatnot. Let's see, we can maybe look here for this thing. A minor manufacturer here in Germany, and yes, I'm being facetious, that is a wholly owned subsidiary, so 100% owned by America. Same with the Ford manufacturing, no local ownership. 100% owned by American company. Manufacturing in Germany that's called, what was it again? Opel. And they manufactured, I guess it was the primary and best known truck that Germany uses during World War II is made by an American manufacturing company in Germany. Opel is, again, 100%. That's GM Motors. General Motors in Germany is Opel. They may have used local designers, but they make the Opel Blitz. So are we somehow thinking that there is in any way negative trade elements between Germany and America in 1936. Now, 1940, there, I think it is 1940, or is it 41? Right somewhere in there, I'd have to look. The U.S. does seize all German national assets in America, seizes them, takes them over, and embargoes trade with Germany and Italy before the war breaks out between U.S. and Germany. This is, at some point there gets to be a no-go on trade for sure. But in 1936, I think I just demonstrated the idea that, I'm not absolutely sure Germany was importing oil from Standard Oil. They very well may have been. But the only reason they wouldn't have been importing Standard Oil is if they could import oil from somewhere else cheaper. Not because in any way the U.S. would limit exports to Germany in 1936, 1937, 1938, maybe getting around 39 and the war breaking out, you might get that. So this is one thing that really just jumped out at me. And here's my problem with this. This is obviously known by the developers as a thing here. And there's something called the Gell-Mann amnesia effect. Okay. Gell-Mann is just like a name that was thrown in there. Amnesia effect. And to give an example of what this is let's say a plumber is reading the newspaper. This is, and he sees an article describing how to do some plumbing thing. And he reads it and goes, that's BS. You did that, the sink wouldn't work or the washing machine wouldn't work. It just wouldn't possibly work. This guy who wrote this article doesn't know what he's talking about. This is BS. This guy doesn't know. Turns the page and goes, oh, this is a very good article on how to do carpentry. I ought to build myself a chair using this. He's presuming, he's forgetting that he just read an article in a field that he knew that he knew what he was going to be seeing, or what that was BS, but then turns the page and believes what he reads coming out of an authority of like a newspaper, a magazine, or a game or mod, and presume that the next thing is correct, as opposed to it's just equally BS. A decision is Germany to buy fuel from USA. Suppose there is still a small representation in trade. Yeah, and so, hey, this may come off as I'm being harsh on it, but I really don't think I am, because I'm looking at anything critically on any of this stuff. And so I don't know, Britain, again, I don't know why there would be terribly negative British feelings here at this point for trade with Germany. As way to steal. And what's the Soviets like for oil right now? Do they not have oil? Soviet. What? No, I don't have any of that. Do they not have any? The Soviets not have anything? But why is the Soviet trade opinion so low? Why is the Soviet trade? I mean, I understand. I guess they may not have anything that they could sell right now, but why would Soviets be so low? That seems ridiculous too. There was a lot of, and it only increases, but it goes from before the Nazis come to power, when the Nazis are in power, and then enhanced with the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, Soviet-German economic ties that I could go into in a massive way. So gives no resources to the market. Okay. Hello, Tank Axe. I don't know if I said hello to you specifically. Soviet collective economic policies give no resources to the market. What the hell? What? That was a big deal for the Soviet. They love exporting to the West. They did that as much as they could, to the point of starving themselves at times, literally. Yeah. Holodomor. I don't know that they were exporting food at that time. That was mostly just taking it up to Moscow area. But, oh God. I don't know. You should watch a movie called Ninochka. Great movie. Ninochka. Great movie. Melvin Douglas and Greta Garbo. Oh boy, Greta Garbo. Oh God, there was massive amounts of trade. There's Mouse Soviet Zero. That seems stupid. I mean, I don't have facts and figures in front of me now, but we can look. You can look at. I don't know if anybody here has ever watched Babylon Berlin, a recent TV series. They're coming out with a new season, hopefully, damn soon. That talks about prior to the Nazis coming to power, talks about the trade between the Soviet Union and Germany. I know it continues after the Soviets. Or after the Nazis come to power. More of a U.S. player myself, but I do recommend exploring the German focus tree to see if that changes things. I'm not entirely familiar with it to see. Okay, Tank X, yes, and I that's one of the reasons I'm looking at Germany, because so many players do play it as their primary. An old poll that had all the majors in it that was put out years ago for Hearts of Iron 3. And you could pick more than one choice. It wasn't just pick one. It was pick. But 70% of players played as Germany. Now they may have picked 3 boxes: Germany, Britain, and Italy or something. But any one player could pick. But what nations do you play? And it was of the majors, and you tick the boxes. And so would go over 100%, obviously. And it was by far the largest, with I think it was 30 or 40%. I forget what it was. That was whatever the second nation was. So it was by far the dominant nation that people play. So yeah. Because the Soviet government, I agree that there isn't a market institution of buying and selling things in the Soviet Union, of collectivization and whatnot. Totally agree with that. But the Soviet government itself was very much in the way of doing things. Okay, so right now, this got us onto this. Right now we have enough aluminum, we have enough steel. So I'm not going to build any more at this moment, aluminum or steel plants. That's what I started to just look at here. But okay, so let's drop down here in some zones that look like are reasonably well developed and have 3 slots to put some steel factories in to at least get that going. I know this is a slow start here, but I want to look at this, and that's part of what we're doing here. Let's look at decisions. Okay, let's see. Influence. Okay, internal factors. SS and Wehrmacht are both vie for supremacy. Both will not tolerate. Okay, I am not entirely understanding this. Those core steel mills, and do that at the moment. MIFO bills. Get from Steve. I think there's, yeah. Okay. I would also recommend building sieves because you're high fatigue. Okay, yes, thank you for that recommendation. I normally do start out building building sieve factories, and I understand sieve factories now require different things than military factories. Okay, interesting historical fact. The Soviet Union did not have the capabilities to produce the T-34 tanks and the KV tanks. It just did not have could not make those tanks. Germany had big steel rolling mills. And the Soviet Union at this time, this era in the 1930s, did not have steel rolling mills that could produce the armor for those tanks or for proper battleship armor of a bigger scale. It just did not have it. And it did not have the capability to make the steel rolling mills. Now, eventually it probably could have, because, build the tools to build the tools to build the tools to then build the steel rolling mills. It takes multiple steps. So, Germany sells one or more, I'm not sure exactly how many, steel rolling mills to the Soviets so that the Soviets could build T-34 tanks to defeat Germany. Now, I don't think the Germans realized this at the time. They knew they were selling some big steel rolling mills to the Soviets, and I think the Germans presumed that they were going to be used to build battleships. Well, the Germans really didn't care that much about Soviets having battleships or not. So they sell, now in very few other places, and I think the US may be at the time, but maybe Britain does too, and I don't know. But again, there's a lot I don't know about the war. But I think it may be only the U.S. is the other nation that had steel rolling capability armor capability at that scale. But I could be wrong about that. So Germany sells the steel rolling mills to the Soviet Union, thinking that won't do that much harm. Now, Germany is not interested in Soviet rubles. So they're going to have to pay the government in gold, in silver, in British pounds, or in resources. I don't know quite what they paid in. I mean, I don't know, but I know it isn't just, according to the guy to the drunken men, to build military factories until you can rush IG Carbon and start spamming synths. Okay. Build military factories. Well, I'm going to start off with these civilian factories first. We're going to produce some civilian factories. Then we may switch over. But we're still just obviously in the beginning of the game. Okay. Decisions. Okay. Insufficient resources. Well, let's get this going. So I definitely know that there was significant trade with the West and the Soviets. More free civilian factories. Okay, well, and yeah, synthetic factories would be a very good thing, I think. Now here's my other bitch. And this goes for Hearts of Iron 4 generally. This is what happens with a lot of Paradox games. I just wish World Ablaze would address this. I fucking hate this. I mean, this is the level, I'm going to swear, I really do hate this. Why the hell is all of this god-awful shit empty? Why? It's like, oh, 1936. Germans are standing around. Well, we don't have any government ministers. Well, maybe we should appoint some. Well, we have to wait to get political influence to be able to appoint government ministers. Dun, 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 dun. And they're going to sit around and do that? Now, when it was explained to me, and other people, I mean, I was just one of the people paying attention to it at the time, but several of us were engaging in conversation, that the political power, I mean, it is a mana system, we have to admit, and Paradox loves mana systems. But it was explained to me is you can't just constantly swap out these, because in real life, if you swap out your, various defense ministers, various economic ministers, it causes disruption in your government, and it isn't done every day. And they're absolutely right about that. But God damn it, put something of a historical start in this kind of thing. Now, a nation like Hungary probably wouldn't start with a naval builder because, it's landlocked. And probably may not have enough of an aircraft manufacturing to really be considered to have Hungary to have a proper aircraft thing in play or something like that. I definitely get this. But Germany, not to pick one of these, not like the best one or the optimized one, but pick one that would probably start with. And then you might go, well, we're starting with Falkwolf, I'd rather have Messerschmitt. And then you got to use political power to change it. Let's start with 2, 3 of these governors. Somebody like Schacht, because he was there at the time. Hess was pretty top. Maybe Goebbels at the start. And definitely not Ribbentrop, because he wasn't and he was still minor functionary. Martin Bormann, those guys were very minor. Maybe you want to have von Roth as start. Pick with a starting lineup, and then cost us to change it. That's what it should be. I mean, now maybe not all of these general slots and all of these military high commands should be up there. Women at home. I guess that's more or less. I mean, it's sort of the, not quite as simple as that. No bonds, okay, so we can do those. Those will need a lot more civilian factories. Okay. No propaganda, small scale propaganda. Other than starting you out with something that reduces your daily political power gain, I don't know why you would presume that the Nazis in 1936 don't have at least that, if not that, currently running. That is just ridiculous. Rhineland and proclaiming the Axis powers will give you a shit ton of PP. Okay, very good, very good. Like I say, this is all, I'm very, very new to this. So we have, about 30 some days. Okay. Or the other thing would be, of course, is just to give you a huge amount of political power to pick that out. But see, I would rather, as a game developer, which a modder is, I would rather start you with a historical start and make you spend the political power to get what you think, whatever that may be, the optimal choices. Like if you want to, it might start out with, say, a bomber aircraft manufacturing, but you want to go for fighter aircraft, optimization or whatever. You pick out your optimization. Like, do you want to have a big surface fleet, or do you want to go subs, or whatever it is? So it's just, instead of you picking it, you got to make your choices on political power. To I don't know why. Let's use default symbols here. Come on now. That should be the default. Yes, good. Now I can read them better. No, but I hate this, and this is a paradox thing. I hate this sort of progressivism, that you got to build into it. Like I said, there very well may be empty slots for some nations at the start of a game. because that's just something they really didn't do at that time. Iron shortage in 6 days, bauxite shortage 6 days. Well, I thought we were making plenty of this stuff. Huh? Huh? What? Okay. Iron. Bauxite. Okay, so we need to import bauxite. Kingdom of Hungary. Okay. Germany, I do know, was sort of somewhat low on the bauxite thing. Okay, so we need to do that, but iron. Before your steel mills start collapsing, your default is always good at 400. Right. Right. Okay. Yeah. Over here. Okay. Okay. We can go to. You produce. Why do we need so much iron in 1936? I don't get that. I don't get that. Yes, I understand the bauxite and iron is needed, but why do we need... Well, but it's 1936. Needing so much. Do understand that the iron, that is, the steel, I should say, that's coming out of here, wherever exactly the factory is special steel. They actually have I've had a little trouble trying to figure out what it was because they've mined it out so badly. They think it was steel mixed with tungsten naturally, or iron mixed with tungsten that made a really good steel alloy. And it was normally the main thing was super high quality steel, not just steel. So, which let me look here again here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, guys. Here's a fault with this. To the best of my knowledge, again, to the best of my knowledge, Sweden has little or no tungsten. So why does Sweden have tungsten here? You can reactivate any mills that might have gone offline in the decision tab. Okay. So why does Sweden have tungsten? I know. Because it was producing really super good steel. And so the designers decided to give it tungsten to sort of represent that high level steel. And that's what Germany was getting from, it's sort of a tungsten replacement. It was thought to being, because the devs did have access to some I'm not sure what they were, but some records from the time period about the exporting of steel to Germany and German steel production, and that it really sort of showed that they didn't really need this more steel. What they needed was the high quality steel, because either that or Germany would need to import tungsten from somewhere else and then mix it with, in the steel manufacturing process to come up with high quality steel to make machine tools in particular, but also armor or super penetrating rounds or other similar sorts of things. So this is sort of already represented in here. So this is a little bit iffy. Okay, so let's see. So it's deactivated my, because we didn't have enough. Reactivate core steel mill. Okay, let's. Okay, remilitarization of the Rhineland German power. Okay, that isn't a shit ton of political power. That's just enough to do one person, basically. That's screwy. That's screwy. Political power gain now. So if we do this, which is my first instinct, not so great. But see, if we do this, we'll do political power gain and get to the second one faster. So we're going to do this one first. But that ain't what I call a shit ton of political power. It's political power, certainly, but it's not some huge amount to get me my government functioning. Okay, let's start the 4-year plan early, because it's really more September, October, but whatever. Maybe it'll give me corrections. Mister. Gonna get me enough steel. Just need to reactivate that again. Now we're just -1. Okay, manually. Okay. Not the most terrible thing. Well, that's a better. A little deficiency I'm not really worried about. I want to try to get my civilian economy. Let's look here at production. Are we making trains by any chance? I should probably have to go there. Up here. No, we're not making trains. We've been playing. Okay. Let's come up here. Okay, 4-year plan and path to progress. Path to greatness, I guess I should read correctly. Okay. That party is not fascist. No. this remove shaft as a possible? Maybe. Yeah, Walter Funk. Well, 28 days, 21 days Army experience. Luftwaffe innovations. Vital. Name access powers. West wall. Naval armament. Okay, I guess this is the path we want to take now. I'm going to ignore spying for now. Not that it's not useful or anything like that, it's just
Achtung!
not what I want to play with right now.
Ausrücken! Ausrücken!
I don't know if we should be building any railways at this time. For supply or other reasons. Yeah. Now we're getting sort of low on the steel again. Let's look at our import. We're still in a positive. See if there's a reactivation core steel mill there. There we go, proper positive. Okay, massive plug power per day. Okay, tank axe. Thank you. But still, and again, it's just a general objection to this whole thing here. Yeah, let's do this for a while. We can. I don't know if it's going to disappear in a few days. Probably a stupid move, but I want to see how that goes. Does it just make Walter Funk, or should I call him Walter Radio? I don't know. No, Walter Funk.
Angetreten.
Available, or does it remove Shaft? Shaft was removed as what, Reich Minister of Economics or whatever called, but he stayed on at the Reich Bank until the sort of invasion of Czechoslovakia. I think that's about when he left the government. Army current, but what does that do? Does that change something? Nope. Okay, we still have Shack there, it looks like. Okay. Reich Autobahn. Okay, more infrastructure. Auxiliary Autobahn. Okay. KD. Ooh, there's a lot of military factories there. 35 days. And then Gurenberg. Full control of that. Significantly increases economic fatigue by 5%. Replaces with straight economy goods. Add steel mill. Okay. I don't want to claim access powers just yet. Or maybe I do. Do I? Okay. Condor Legion. Well, maybe I do want to. 14 days. What is this? Celebration Olympics. Okay, I guess we want to do that. Yeah, I guess so. Let's try that.
Angetreten.
Get the lead.
Bereit.
And for here we'll go with orange deck.
Befehle.
Hey, thanks for following. Do appreciate it. Hello, Julius. How you doing? Okay. Claiming access powers. Very nice. Yes, okay. That will help out. Okay. Treaty of Mutual Assistance. 7 days. Mutual assistance. Okay, well, not bad. Not bad. Celebration Olympics has happened. Focus war. So we have to wait for the Olympics to happen. Condor Legion. Wait for the Spanish Civil War. That does, of course, make sense. I do like a lot of what I'm seeing. Nazi economics. Where's appointment of Goring? Reichsarbeitsdienst. Not bad. Immediately decreases economic by 4%. Replace trading with 22%. Okay. Expanding domestic mining. The DAF. What does the DAF do? Okay, just civilian factories. Where's so huh? I don't see a Goring. Huh? I just being blind, tote, spear, Bowman, Schracker, Goebbels, Bormann, Himmler. Now is it to the Luftwaffe? No, that's the Navy. No, not to, here, Goring? Does it require this Goring? Okay. Right, well, I guess we can do that. What is it here? Better wages, stability. %% factory output is pretty good, I see. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm just trying to understand what's going on is all, and not just blindly going into this. Again, some of you guys are Hearts of Iron 4 only players and have not played Hearts of Iron 3, but I've looked into this fairly deeply because I make a mod called Third Reich Events, which is expanded beyond just an event mod, that deals very in-depth with the National Socialist government and how it functions and how it works. So I've dug into this very deeply. So I'm maybe overly critical. I know I'm highly critical, but I don't know if I'm overly critical or not. Reinstate Nazi leadership. Okay, well, yeah, I guess we'll do that. Okay, there. Okay, requires. Hello, Beam Slam. Pretty good. I'm looking at the World Ablaze mod, as you could probably tell from that. I don't know. Maybe. Oh well, no. Okay, oh, I guess it just meant this. Just meant this. Nazi economics. Okay, just meant that. Well, I think we're gonna go with this first. 35 days. So we're going to go with that first. Okay, well, we didn't need to put Goring. Well, we were going to put Goring in there anyways, but didn't maybe need to put him there right away. Yeah, maybe we'll get a little more.
Bereit!
Military officer corps. Ah, Chief of the Army or theorists. So you can come here, I think, and I think you can also come over here, maybe get some of the same things, but I'm not exactly sure. This, I have been playing day and night Hearts of Iron 3, testing my mod again. So, okay, we want to spend the political power. Don't know we're going to do this now. And again, it does matter because you should be able to have some choices, but you should start with like Bloomberg and Fritsch, and now a dead mod that I went in and I created a mod that is no longer functional, but for Hearts of Iron 4 that made it like Hearts of Iron 3 in the government, and I gave up on it because of work of doing all the nations, but it had slots like economic minister. So, and you had choices of economic ministers, not, you had to pick the one you wanted. You couldn't like have, Speer, Todt, and Schacht, and Walter Funk all at once. You just had to pick one kind of thing. But that would be the economics minister slot with whatever benefits the particular one would give. And then it would be, diplomatic. Who are you going to have? Is it going to be Ribbentrop or von Roth or some other option? That kind of thing. Make it the slots like Hearts of Iron 3. I believe that is a better functioning system than what they do now. So we could do this, but we're not yet building, we don't have the 150, but we're not yet building military factories. Yeah, I think we're going to wait to 150 because maybe we want to put somebody like Goebbels, which will get us 10% political power gain, weekly war support, and daily fascist support. Okay, that might be something we want to do. Okay, hello, Darth Canale. Recruit divisions, you need a lot. Okay, well, what I was doing was, and now we have some reserves of equipment. I didn't quite know how much we need, so I wasn't doing any. Let's do, we could do that, I guess. We'll set location, see how this goes. We'll set that as a location. Hey Mauricio, how you doing? Get Bormann and Goebbels. Why Bormann and Goebbels? Because we currently have Hess, Silent Workhorse, political power gain 20%. I don't know how that would be different between that. Maybe. Goebbels we are going to see about getting, I think, next. So glad you're getting medicine for that, because arthritis is something, I guess, dealing with the, oh God, I'm not a doctor, so I even hardly want to say this, but something dealing with the lack of cartilage on the joints and whatnot. And I don't know how easy or difficult it is to sort of rebuild that cartilage, but you can definitely get anti-inflammatory type medicines that will reduce the inflammation. And let's see. Look at that. Just doing that. That's a better color than this goddamn fucking turquoise. I hate this turquoise. Has nothing to do with any of the mod. It just I hate the goddamn turquoise. What? Oh, he has a max of 2? Is that what it is? Okay, well. Put that on Klug. Does he have a max of 1? Wow. That's weird if that's what I'm reading it right as. Also, okay, check some of them like Anschluss are locked behind, yeah, army size. I did see 600,000. If I didn't say hello, Darth, hello. That's why you need to constantly recruit divisions until the start of the war. Okay, good to know. Okay, we are getting, vitamin C. Okay, that's what he's saying. Okay, vitamin C, that very well could be. I know a lot of people that promote just generally having vitamin C up to be a good thing. So yeah, I would think that is a reasonable thing to take, and I don't know that it's going to have a negative side effect of any. I hope not. Hello, CA Old. How you doing today? Why would you restrict it? Okay, so we got the 222, the armored car, one of my favorite. I think it's sort of a cool armored car. Don't know how the A and the B differ, but whatever. Okay. Black Panzer, Bison, Panzerjäger. Well, let's look. I am definitely okay. We're just still in May. Haven't got to do that yet. Definitely an infrastructure first kind of person. But it doesn't look like there's much infrastructure. So let's... Okay, that's way ahead of the time. Those aren't. Okay, let's just do this for the fun. For the lulz. Move the cursor over the manpower to see how many soldiers you have field. Okay, manpower. You know, I've been playing there. Okay, so we currently have 400,000, it looks like. 411,000. We need to get 600,000 to get Anschluss. Let's see. I did hover over that over here. Okay, and then divisions in certain regions. The problem, I don't know how it is for the AI. Don't know. But the problem that the devs had, they wanted what is right down in here, where it says at least 5 divisions in the 2 different Oberbayern and Niederbayern. They had a problem with having the AI get the divisions into the area. So I don't know how that will work. Guess there and there. Okay, so these, you got to get the divisions down to here. They had a problem with that because that was original design concept for Hoi 4, and it was, like I say, abandoned because of the inability to get the AI to do that with it. Well, the AI does it all on time. Okay, Darth, it does. Well, interesting. That is interesting. So I know that was one of Podcat's things that he wanted to make sure that they had a threatening size, not just the size of army, but army on the border kind of thing. Thanks, Arna.
Bereit zum Ausrücken.
Okay, we'll give this to Dad again. Okay, come on. Let's go for a more pinker look, shall we? This way. Come on. How do you do pink here? I mean, like okay, no, not yellow, not red, not purple. Pause. Hey, don't you know I'm playing with a? I mean, like a nice bright pink. Pink is the color of Panzers. You guys didn't know. A Waffenverband, however you pronounce it. Okay, well, doesn't look like more purple to me. I don't know. Okay, well, they're sort of dull. Let's see if we can deepen it somehow. I don't know. Yeah, that sort of sucks, but we're a bit ahead, but when you take Czechoslovakia, you get another line of Panzer. Very good. Full efficiency, very good. That's yeah. They were just getting the 38T into proper production when Germany rolls in. That's light tanks are going to be your early workhorse until yeah. That's very true. Historically, at least. Okay, so we got KDF wagons, scheme, and more of those. Very good. So now that we're pushing here, so I'm looking at here and some of the stuff that I'm seeing that this adds Reichsarbeitsdienst switch construction speed, but it also moderately decreases economic fatigue by 4%. So I'm trying to sort of put some fatigue. Is there a place I'm guessing to see economic fatigue? An overview? Maybe not. I don't know. Where do I find that? Me for bills. Oh. Factories. No. Ah. Oh yeah, no. I'm picking around its edges with my criticisms, not at the core elements of the mod. So yeah, I am impressed by this. Economic fatigue is on the ministers tab. Okay, law, government, ministries here. No, here. Okay, here we go. Warping economy, 32%. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I thought it was somewhere. So reducing construction speed by 35%. All right. So let's gain a research slot. That'll be useful. So we'll do that. Do we have? No, we don't have an open one now. We have some free military factories. Let's see. Civilian train. 2.5 years to get one train. Oh well, no, it's 7 years. Really? 7 years? Oh, maybe because we don't have enough other resources. You know, it just uses steel. We have a positive amount of steel. What? What? Now we're training 2 years? Now we're training. Now we're training 1 year, 1 1/3 year. Yes. I got that. Factory's output is 2 point. We should reduce at least 5 each. Now I trust 1.3 trains per year. Right. Okay. But it's still going to take a year to get the first train out at this current level of efficiency. Now, obviously, it's like 1% efficiency. Well, I don't know how fast that's going to climb, but that seems like it's taking a long time. Like I say, seems okay. Well, okay. We are currently leveling up on fuel. Let's see if we build a fuel silo. Let's stick one. Let's stick one up. Okay, so yeah, don't want to stick one up there outside of, not in Berlin, but there we go. We'll do that. We'll increase the. And we've gone way too long. We're going to not end the live stream, but this is going to end this episode of my first real look at the World of Blaze mod, which is a very good mod. I'm so far appreciating what they're doing. Just I have problems with it, but then again, I have problems with a lot of things, so nothing special there. Those watching later on YouTube, thank you so much for making this far. If you haven't already, of course, please try to hit that like button and post your questions, comments, corrections below. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of